Brianna lost her life, they both lost theirs. Even though, people say it's not a very long sentence. Personally, I don't agree either. I think it's disgusting. But 22 years is still very long. It is a very long time. It should have been longer, but, they did get the maximum. Luckily, that happened. I don't know if any of you remember a story about James Bulger? Is that James Bulger? And it was basically where two 10-year-olds took a young boy to a train track and they did murder him. And this was years and years ago. But James Bulger's mum actually done an interview and they are actually out now. And the reason why they come out quite quickly was because at the time they was only 10 years old. So if the system had have treated these two 15-year-olds the same as these 10-year-olds, maybe such as children, I think they would have been, let off the hook a bit easier. But this wasn't just like an irrational, let's just kill this person. It was like some sort of setup. And I think that's what shocked me, because I never thought, there was no family background of violence, or both had stable families, both their parents had jobs. When I really thought about this, I thought, well, do they have their parents within their life? Are they growing up around substances? I had no absolute clue. But the truth of it was that their life, from the outside in, looks very stable. She investigated serial killers. Now, this is another thing that freaked me out. So, at the age of 13, she starts watching horror films and gets a thrill out of them. I personally love a horror film. I do. But I can't sit in my room right now, put the telly on and watch one by myself. I'd be absolutely terrified. I would. I don't like things by myself. So the fact that she's sitting in a room at age 13 and watching horror films, to me, is a little bit strange. But then, if someone has a thing for horror films, why should someone automatically assume that they're going to be a serial killer? Does that make sense? I just think it's strange, in my opinion. But for them, I think they're obviously very troubled children. And I think it's really sad, because they've not only affected their own lives and Brianna's, they've also affected all the families, For example, Eddie, was his name Eddie? Eddie? Was his name Eddie, guys? Eddie, yeah. So, obviously, he had like a younger sister. She's now got to go to school. Probably the local area all know who he is. Well, they do know who he is. Let's not lie. She's got to go to school and probably face bullying now. And, it isn't just, two kids take someone's life and it's happy days all forgotten about. Does that make sense? I don't understand it. And the funniest part is they honestly had, Scarlett, if anybody's seen the messages between the two, Scarlett honestly believed her own delusions. She honestly thinks they're not going to get caught. And I just think that is absolutely ridiculous. All the conversations are all over message on WhatsApp. To think that the police can't trace it back is ridiculous. We live in a day and age where there is CCTV. Yes, I'm aware about my eyelashes. They are terrible, but I'm not pulling them out because I don't want to lose any more of my actual lashes. They are falling off, I'm aware. No, but the thing is, obviously, even when it comes to... They honestly thought they was going to get away with it. And I don't know how they actually thought they was going to get away with it. Are they delusional, or are they typical 15-year-olds that think they're invincible? I think it's actually a little bit of both, personally. You know, for example, she said about how she wanted to have part of her flesh, and, you know, it's just not normal. That's not just being delusional. This is being more than just delusional. Hello, Savannah's helpline. She thought she wasn't going to get caught. Yeah, but that's just a delusion. That's the delusion. The truth of it is, if she wasn't so delusional, she would have made a good serial killer. You know, she actually would. And that's obviously not me saying it's a good thing, but what I'm saying is she had the potential to be really, really dangerous, but obviously she fell through. And didn't. No, 100% Harvey, I agree. But I just think it's so sad because, do you know what, Brianna does remind me of me in ways. Like, obviously we were both trans women. Very different people in the way of style and things like that, but she lived her life through social media on like a very homophobia on top. It's actually transphobia, darling. But anyway, she lived her life through through social media as a very confident person. And within reality, she actually was on like a restricted timetable. She was nervous to leave her room. She didn't like getting on the bus. You know, there was a lot to it. And that's actually how I live my life, if you want me to be honest. So, obviously I do live my life and try and push myself to go out. But the truth of it is, I do feel much more safer within my own home. And yeah, so it made me upset to feel, you know, to push myself to go out. I find it difficult, okay? And I know when I do go out, I'm so proud of myself, of what I'm achieving. And then you've got poor Brianna that pushed herself to go out, was probably so proud that she'd managed to access the bus by herself, to then basically be lured to her death by two young 15-year-olds. You know, like, it's just not right, in my opinion. I know, she messaged her mum saying she was scared. I think that's what is actually really touching, and it's really sad to think that this poor girl pushed herself, for all that, she ended up dead. And that is probably my worst nightmare. My worst nightmare is going on this street today. The truth of it is, guys, this world is not a nice place, okay? It's really not a nice place. You can't really be very trusting of people. The only people I probably trust are people I've grown up with and my family, you know. I'm very wary of friends. I'm very wary of who even speaks to me on here, because you just get all sorts of people and you just can't chance it, you know. What's the people's names? Eddie Radcliffe. No. Yeah. And Scarlett Jenkinson. But, you know, when I look at the things, I don't think it was a sense of jealousy on Scarlett's side. I think she obviously wanted to murder Brianna because she had the thrill to kill. That was all it was. But when I look at the pictures of them both, I do personally believe that Brianna was more flattering and a lot more stunning than Scarlett. She just looks rough. Like, absolutely rough. She was an easy target, vulnerable. Yeah, and obviously I was having this conversation with my mum, and do I believe that her being trans was the motive? Not on Scarlett's side, no. I personally do on Eddie's side, because he referred to her as an it. He said whether Brianna would scream like a man or a girl. You know, so personally, on Eddie's side, I do believe there was transphobia and there was a motive because she was trans. I think it actually helped him be more invested within what they were about to do. But when it comes to Scarlett's side, do I believe that the trans made Brianna more vulnerable being trans? Yeah, I do. And I think it made her more easily accessible. But I don't believe that Scarlett was transphobic. I believe she just saw... I think Scarlett had that mindset of she just wanted to get hold of whoever, really. Which is just crazy. It's scary that there are people out there so can even do it. Well, the thing is that scares me is they are our children. Does that make sense? This is the UK's children. These are 15-year-olds. You know, you're not an adult till you're 18. And, you know, these are kids. Does that make sense? This is crazy. So, yeah, like, I think it's a massive point in history. I think this will be remembered. It's just upsetting that they can't even do it. Well, how they got, you know, how they even managed to get to the park, and like, why is there no CCTV? You know, that I just think it's ridiculous. We're in a day and age where there are cameras everywhere. I walk down the road and my neighbours video me on their Ring doorbell. Do you know what I mean? So why is there no cameras in a park, in a woodlands? I don't know. There should be. And guys, I'm perfectly aware of my lash. Thank you for reminding me. I do see it. What's sad is that there's a major knife problem within today's kids. Well, the UK has gone a little bit out of hand. And I'm just really thankful for the people. Now, this is another thing, and I think it's so upsetting, but, you know, the dog walkers that found Brianna. Now, this is really sad. It's really saddening to, you know, hear that these poor innocent people walking their dog have had to come across someone's body. That, for me, would absolutely terrify me. Like, terrify me. It would scar me for life. But I'm thankful, and I'm sure a lot of people are thankful for the fact that those dog walkers were there. These two young children didn't believe that the area they were murdering this poor young girl in was really known to the public. You know, this part of the woodlands, on these steps, no one would find her. You know, and obviously this couple have unfortunately seen Eddie, and then they've both ran. If obviously that hadn't have happened and the couple weren't there, I do then question what else could have happened. You know, she says her motives was to have flesh, which I just don't get that. What are you going to do with it? Really, really strange. But anyway, so she didn't get to that point. You know, she didn't achieve her full desire of what she wanted to do. And the thing is, you find with serial killers, which I do believe she would have became, you know, they'll murder someone because they want the thrill, and then after a few days, the thrill, you know, after so long, the thrill's gone again. So then you want to murder again. She didn't basically, you know, as much as she took someone's life, and it is really shocking, and she did kind of somewhat fulfill what she wanted to do, she didn't get the full experience of what she thought she was going to get. You know, Sydney, how are you? Sorry? I had enough of people calling me that. Not even that. There was 64,000. Are you sure? She made a list of her caseworkers' names on who she wanted to kill after. Did she do it because she was trans? No, I don't believe so. Not on her behalf. I believe he did. That's just my opinion. I believe he, you know, referred to Brianna as an it. He also said about whether she'd scream like a man or a girl. So, in my opinion, he did. He was more easily influenced because of it. But I don't believe that she was.